ordered like all the students to go back to their universities, because he said, if I lose these guys, we're losing the next generation.
Hello, my name is Stanley Heller. Welcome to The Struggle. We begin in Lebanon. Thousands of protesters blocked roads and burned tires across Lebanon for a second day on Friday the 18th, demanding the demise of the political elite, whom they say have looted the economy to the point of breakdown. Protesters complained that the politicians are only lining their own pockets. And they are demanding not only the resignation of the government, but the return of the stolen money. Here in the city of Tripoli, Lebanon, protesters are taking advantage of a metal sign to make some noise. From Middle East Eye, reporting about the situation in Syria and the Kurdish Syrians allowing Assadist forces into the area they control. The Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons is investigating reports that Turkish forces used white phosphorus against children in their recent attack. These are some of the signs in a sizable demonstration in New York City in support of Kurds and protesting the Turkish invasion of Syria and the betrayal of the Turkish-run group SDF that allied with the US in defeating ISIS. Turkish forces have invaded the area the Kurds control, an area they called Rojava. As we record, the Trump administration has announced a brokered 120-hour ceasefire, which includes a provision for the Kurds to withdraw from 20 miles from the border, essentially giving Erdogan, the president of Turkey, exactly what he wants. This demonstration took place in South Bend, Indiana, called by the Industrial Workers of the World, Democratic Socialists of America, and Food Not Bombs. It called attention to the Russian attacks on Idlib, as well as the Turkish attack on Rojava. Slogans included "Boycott Turkey," "Boycott Russia," and "We support Rojava's experiment in local democracy, women's empowerment, and ecology." About 70 people took part. For more about this, see Peace News columnist Dan Fisher's analysis at peacenews.org. His article is entitled "No War on Rojava or Idlib." The PEP meme contest continues. Promoting Enduring Peace is seeking memes that criticize Connecticut government's decision to allow a 2 million ton CO2 spewing power plant to be built in the northeastern part of the state. The idea is to add some wit, anger, and snark into the campaign. Entries are asked from all over the country. Here are some ideas. First, a very calm plea to government Lamont. Then Uncle Sam saying, I want you to convince Governor Lamont to cancel the fracked gas power plant. Then SpongeBob asks, what good are jobs on a drowned planet? Albert Einstein laughing at the notion that methane could be a bridge fuel. Then Spock reminding us we have only the short run to avert climate disaster. And finally, a plea to Lamont to show some guts. See pepeace.org for details about the contest. Now from Middle East Eye, a piece about a man whose posts about corruption and Egypt created a firestorm, and people dared to demonstrate in the face of the brutal al-Sisi regime. The brave man is named Muhammad Ali. He's a contractor, and he worked on government projects where he saw the corruption firsthand.
على طول تهديدات، على طول التهديدات دي انت تاخدها دي كانك زي الميه كل يوم بتشربها كده. تلاقي الصبح تهديد هنقتلك، احنا عرفنا انت فين، مش هنسيبك، لو طالت الايام هنجيبك، ده احنا رفعنا عليك قضيه هنجيبك، بكره مصر بكره اسبانيا تسلمك، على طول بتلاقي من ده كتير. مش هعمل زي بقى سبايدر مان، هتقتل عادي يعني. ده راجل معاه مليارات ومعاه ملايين، يقدر جدا يشتري اي عصابه في الدنيا ويقول لهم خلصوا لي عليه. هو حصل من اول فيديو وحيد بحياتي يعني. بحذر شديد جدا جدا، مش اي اماكن اخشها طبعا. انت انا خناقتي مش مع واحد عادي، خناقتي مع ديكتاتور قال عليه ترامب، يعني ديكتاتور عظيم يعني، وراجل متمسك بكرسي الحكم، فاكيد من مصلحته ان انا انتهي.
Japanese media report that Typhoon Hagibis has washed away tens of bags of radioactive waste from where it was being stored, and that at least 12 of the bags were found empty, meaning their contents had spilled out onto land or in rivers. The bags were part of some 30 million tons of radioactive soil being stored after the meltdown in 2011 in Fukushima. In 2015, some 240 contaminated bags from the Fukushima plant went missing under similar circumstances. Makes you feel real confident about what they're doing to protect the world from that accident. This 80-year-old rabbi was attacked by a mob. No, not by anti-Semites, but by his fellow Israelis. Rabbi Moshe Yehuda Burin was attacked by some 30 masked men as he tried to assist Palestinian farmers harvesting their olive trees. Others from Rabbis for Human Rights and Yesh Din were injured. Hundreds of trees were burned. Rabbis for Human Rights was given the Gandhi Peace Award in 2011. On Saturday, November 2nd, the Middle East Crisis Committee is holding a meeting in New Haven where I'll talk about my new book, Zionist Betrayal of Jews. It's an account of the many, many times that the Zionist groups and the Israeli government have put their interests ahead of those of millions of Jews in countries all over the world. The meeting, which is free and open to the public, will take place at the New Haven Library, 133 Elm Street, New Haven, right across from the Green. It'll start at 2 o'clock. A Jewish Voice for Peace program on Indigenous Peoples Day at the Palestine Museum US. Here, Palestinian Ali Elissa talks about his work and that of his late wife of the Menominee Nation, the Native Americans whose land is in Wisconsin.
My name is Ali Elissa. I'm from northern Palestine. But my family been forced to leave our country and our land in 1948. I born and grew up in South Lebanon, actually Lebanon, and I studied in a few countries, and one of them Havana, Cuba, and Santiago de Cuba. I wear 3 hats or more. I'm the founder and the president of the Flying Eagle Women Fund, this is in the memory of my wife, the one who was in a humanitarian mission to Colombia in 1999 to help the indigenous people in northeast Colombia, with another 2, a young guy from California, 23 years old, Terence Freitas, and Lahi Naige, native Hawaiian. They spent 1 week there. On their way back, they kidnapped them and they murdered them like 30 yards inside of Venezuela. And we started this movement, and you know, this story is kind of sad because the killing of my wife, it caused the death of hundreds of people in Colombia because there was a conflict with the movement itself, and I believe most of FARC leaders also who was responsible for my wife death. Only one guy is still alive. We don't believe in revenge, but you know, I mean, this is the story. The second thing, you know, I hate to say it, I am board member of Rigoberta Menchú Tom, and I represent her, I can say, in North America. The Nobel Peace Prize winner from Guatemala. And the third hat, it is I'm board member of Peace Development Fund, which is started like 38 years ago in Amherst, Massachusetts. We raise money to give grants for community-based organizations. And the director of Peace Development Fund is right there, Paul Heibel. And he is one, I mean, one day we tried to create a program in Peace Development Fund for peace in the Middle East, to try to bring both sides together. This is how I met John. And also the Palestinian struggle, I mean, it's not, I mean, like culture, and most of us, if it's not all of us, we know, it is more than 7,000 years old. It's not just started when the Palestinian-Israeli crisis started, and it's not started when the first Zionist conference in Basel, Switzerland happened in 1897. That is when the Zionist movement started. And then Balfour, he was the foreign minister of England, in 1917, he promised the Zionist organization, if you help us financially and we win the war, we give you Palestine. And it's very sad. I mean, like now, it's still happening, by the way. I mean, like Trump, he gave Golan Heights to Israel. It's like it's his. You know what I mean? He gave Jerusalem, both sides to Israel. I mean, like, but you cannot give something you don't own. You know what I mean? Especially like we know, our culture is 7,000 years. You know, you go back for 7,000 years. Usually, I speak in many different occasions. my wife also, when she get killed, she was the chairperson for the Decade of Indigenous People. She was representing around 370 million people. That's when she get killed. How these things came together, I remember during the Israeli invasion, we couldn't go back to Beirut. I'm talking about as a Palestinian student from Cuba. Because by the time we get to East Germany, this is not a secret, by the way, because most of us, Palestinian, Lebanese, who was studying in Cuba, most of them medicine and engineering, you know, they went back home because it's their families there. And this is not a small regular attack. I mean, there was around like 100,000 Israeli troops, and I don't know how many hundreds of tanks, you know. Anyway, when we get to East Germany, I mean, the airport was closed, you know. And I remember when Arafat, he found out there is 27,000 Palestinian and Lebanese or whatever, and most of them, they are college students. He was very upset. And this is the relation between the culture, you know, and the revolution and the resistance. Arafat, when Beirut was surrounded by the Israeli army and they tried to enter Beirut, and Arafat, he found out, I never joined Al-Fatah, by the way. I'm talking history now. I'm talking reality. I'm not, you know, he found out, you know, there's 27,000 of us already in between Damascus and Al-Bekaa Valley and the mountain. The mountain in Lebanon is the most beautiful province, by the way. They call it mountain because it's a mountain area. So he ordered like all the students to go back to their universities because he said, if I lose these guys, we losing the next generation. You know, he wants everybody to go. He's like, we have enough people to fight. So he ordered, I think I'm the only one who stayed there. Everybody went back home and I stayed in Lebanon. In 1980, I got a scholarship and I had two choices, to go to France or to go to Cuba. And I told them, no, I want to go back to East Germany because I studied in Germany before. So they told me, you know, go. I was a little bit connected, but they told me go for a few months and then you go back to Germany. So when I get to Havana, you know, the first year they called like Facultad de Preparatoria. No matter what you are studying, if you don't speak Spanish, you go to that school. And the students, they selected me to be the representative of the Palestinian students in the university. In case something with the university, with the government, you know, they don't want to talk to every student. I wasn't really interested that much in the study in Cuba. It's not because of the politics, but because I want to go back to Germany. I want to go to East Germany. And I wasn't giving attention to the, you know, classes. And, you know, so one day, one of the guys, he was studying journalism, or getting ready to study journalism because I was in the class of the medicine guys. For the different classes, you know, because of the grammar and, you know. So anyway, he came to me and he said, oh, we have 2 American girls here, you know. And I told him, yeah, all right, when you see them, let me, you know, because they are in the same class. He studied journalism and they study Spanish language. So one day I was like at the veranda and he said, oh, by the way, there's the American girls. I looked. I told him, no, I don't think they are American. They look Indian, you know. I don't discriminate. Most of the people who know me, I don't discriminate. I don't care about color, religion, whatever. This is not my way, you know. So I told them, well, my God, no, they look Indian. I think they are Indian, you know. And then when the guy, he told me, there is 2 American girls here in the school, or I call it school. So I told him it's very important to build a great relation with them because we want the people in the United States to understand we are not against them, we are against their foreign policy. And their foreign policy is one of the main reasons for our disaster as a Palestinian. So I told the guys, the rest of the guys, be careful and build a good relation with these two girls and talk to them about the Palestinian, Israeli, whatever issue. So one day, like I told you, he told me, that's the girls. I said, holy sheesh, they are Indian. So then I told the guy, you know, leave it for me. Because, I don't know, I felt like I want to talk to them directly. And it happened, you know, one of them, she became my wife, Ingrid Washanawat, and I tell the story how it happened. And the other one, she is the daughter of Russell Mean, if anybody know who's Russell Mean. Sherry Mean, he's Native American, he died a few years ago. He played in the movie The Last of the Mohican, yeah. And
American Indian movement.
yeah, well, he's actually was the main guy in the American Indian movement, one of the co-founders of the American Indian movement. So, you know, and then, you know, 1 year later, they asked my wife to run the International Indian Treaty Council and the American Indian Movement office to the United Nations in 777 44th Street. And I met her like every few months, you know, because I mean, she's Indian and she's running Indian organization. They have no money. Yeah, I mean, their income is very little bit, you know what I mean? So every time she save a little bit money, she go to Havana or Santiago to Cuba to meet me, and then the invasion happened. And one day I was when I say the mountain in Lebanon, I'm not talking about the mountain in Kurdistan. And I believe all of you see the sad things like happening at this moment in Kurdistan. You know, it's a massacre happened, and we all, I mean, like, our administration, they look at the Arab, so, you know, it's like nothing. Anyway, so I received a call, not cellular phone, there was no cellular phone at that time, and they said, there is a lady, now I'm in Lebanon, you know, and that message was from Damascus. They telling me, oh, there is a lady here, she's looking for you, but we cannot pronounce her last name. You know, I told them, well, write it or whatever, or let me talk to her, and then I said, holy sheesh, that Ingrid. I mean, there is a real war. It is one of the worst war in the history of the Middle East. You know, I mean, you're talking about, I mean, like, from the Israeli side, there was 100,000. And Lebanon, by the way, is smaller than Connecticut. And Lebanon on the widest side, I think maybe like 50 miles, you know? And then, anyway, that's the story. And I'm gonna leave the rest for Jennifer, but, you know, I'm sure all of you know, the Palestinian struggle is not only the rifle or the stone. The Palestinian struggle also poetry, writing, painting, singing. Even if you go to most of the Palestinian camps, including here in the United States, we have groups, cultural groups. You know, they sing, they dance. There is a group, maybe in the future I introduce you some of our friends here. A girl, her father, Bruce Rabin, he's a professor at Columbia University, and she did her PhD about the Palestinian struggle. And she speaks Arabic like me, and she's like 31 now, and she teach Palestinian Dutke. So there is a group, and there is another friend of us, his daughter, she's studying the music, and she asked me if somebody hear about Marcel Khalifa. You know, she asked me if I can introduce her to Marcel Khalifa and sing one of his songs, and that's Dean Saikan daughter. She's working in her music now in Spain. I want to tell just the good stories about this struggle. I don't want to tell the sad stories, but even when you look at the painting or the documentaries, whatever, our elders, even the new people, the younger, they still wear the thobe. And the way this museum introduced the thobe to North America, for us it's like a revolution. Because the thobe mean a lot for us. You know, I know my wife got killed, but one of the first gifts they gave me when I went to Lebanon, whatever, it was a Palestinian thought. After she got killed, I went to Palestine, and it was the first time in my life. And it's sad because I couldn't go there as a Palestinian, and our land is the border between northern Palestine and Lebanon and Syria. That's our land. You know what I mean? I couldn't go there until I get American citizen. And I went there with my son, and it was very sad. We couldn't say we are Palestinian because they might not let us in. You know. So when I went to Palestine, that's after my wife died, it's unbelievable, you know, I mean, the gift they gave me, 2 thobes. I'm not gonna wear thobe. I mean, like, you know, and they gave me one of the most beautiful vests. One of my cousins, he said, give it to Trisha, or my son actually. He said, Dad, let us get it to Trisha. It's an old lady, she was like 92 years old, and that was the first piece. The last piece she did before she passed away. Thank you very much.
Finally, some last-minute notices who watch our program online when it comes hot off the presses. Saturday, October 19th at 12:30, Yale philosopher Professor Jason Stanley will talk about the fascist threat and effective resistance in the era of Donald Trump. It'll take place in the Parish House of the United Church. Later that day in Hartford, a Tree of Life program. Craig and Cindy Corey, Mark Braverman, and performances of Middle East music and dance. 5:30 at the Artists Collective in Hartford. See TOLEF.org for details. That's our program for today. See you next week at this time. I'm Stanley Heller for The Struggle.